Hello, good evening, everybody. It's Parents Engaging Parents Beloved Community Check-in. I am Erica Beverett from Mount Laurel, New Jersey. Thank you for tuning in this Wednesday. We have a great guest with us today. His name is Ade Kelly with WDNP, a podcast called We Don't Need Permission. You gotta love that name. So, with that, I am gonna definitely let you guys know who we are and what we do. And we are Parents Engaging Parents. And our mission is to promote civic awareness based on proactive community action based on the interests of parents and community leaders. Parents Engaging Parents challenges ordinary people to identify problems facing their neighborhoods and cities, connects parents and organizations to multiply their power, and mobilize people to bring real and measurable change. With that, we're going to bring in Miss May. Miss May is going to tell us what's going on in her neighborhood of Bridgeton. So, hello, Miss May.
Good evening. Good evening to all of you. And we're so happy to be with you here this evening for this special streamline. I'm going to tell you a little bit about what's going on in Bridgeton. We're still there, battling COVID-19, but we do have resources in place for those who are vaccinated and those who are not. So at the Marino Center, located on 11 Washington Street in Bridgeton, they will have testing Monday through Thursday from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. And then they will have it again on Sunday from 10 until I believe it's 7. Yes, 10 until 7. So those are some pretty good times for those of you who are not vaccinated that you can get in and get your test completed and have those into your employer on by Monday. So please take advantage of that resource. It's going to be held up until February the 28th. So the rest of this month, you have free access to free testing. So no appointments needed. You can just walk in and have your test done. So
Great,
we're really happy about that.
great. Thank you for sharing that. So, Parents Engaging Parents is also going to be having a coat giveaway at Jesus of Love Family Church in Newark. We're excited to be with them this weekend, excited to partner with the community and give out winter coats. It is still cold
Yes,
outside.
it is.
We need those, and our babies need those. Get a nice fresh coat and engage with the community. And I can't wait to see you all there.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah, there's still snow on the ground. So, a nice warm coat would be so nice.
Mm-hmm.
That's great, Erica. You guys are
No,
doing a great job.
thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So, we are going to also be engaging with Greater Bridgeton Community Head Start and Early Head Start in Jersey City. They are going to have an active parenting program that's going to be going on um, during next week. So we're definitely look out for posts on all that information, and tune into them so that we can learn how to engage our babies without having to put our hands on it. Because I'm actually going through that a little bit at in my classroom, and I think that this is a perfect opportunity to learn all those skills and tools that we need to know, to redirect our babies and teach them how to engage using their words, and if not using their words, using maybe their emotions on their face, because some babies are nonverbal, right? So we have to take
Yes.
into consideration that also. So yeah, looking forward to that. um, did did you say that the Elms Center was still doing testing and vaccines?
No, they're not. That was just a one-time event
Oh,
last
okay.
week. Yes, it
Mm-hmm.
was a one-time event. They were administering the COVID vaccine, and they were doing testing just on that last Friday. Yeah.
Oh, okay, okay,
Hmm.
okay. Yeah, and you were the first one there, right?
Yes.
I remember that. I
Yeah.
remember that. Okay, so with no longer ado, we're gonna bring a day on. He is here. He's gonna chat with us on building a podcast and what that entails. And his program is based off of providing people with the necessary vehicles for accessing media, programming, loans, education, and empowerment, ultimately freeing themselves from all forms of oppression. So that is pretty
Mm.
deep, and
Yes.
we don't need permission. The name alone is pretty deep.
Oh, I
It
like
runs
that.
deep. I love it. I
Yes.
love it. I love it. So I'm gonna bring Ade in. Day, how are you?
I'm well. I'm well. Can you guys hear me this time?
We
Yes.
can,
Yeah.
we
Okay.
can, we can
Perfect.
hear you.
Hmm.
It was some
Ah, look at,
difficulties.
okay, no, no worries. Okay, so look, we have Miss Elise is tuning in, and she said the whole month of February, East Orange is doing shots for young kids. Yes, because
Wow.
now that
Thanks for
COVID shots
permission.
are now available for our littles, right? For all the kids.
Right.
For COVID
Okay.
vaccines. Wonderful.
Yes. Oh, that's
Okay.
great. I know they were working on that for the 5 months up until 5 years of age. Is
hmm
that the one? They were working on trying to get that bill passed. So hopefully,
Yes. I
yeah,
know I believe it's for 5 and older.
505 and older. Okay.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, so all day, let's tell us what's going on. Tell us about yourself. What's going on with all day?
Not much. Just working. Honestly, just for those who may not know, I was born and raised in the city of Newark. I grew up here with my five older siblings, raised by my grandmother, and just happened to navigate the city of Newark the best way we all knew how. So you
Mm-hmm.
get six different stories, six different experiences amongst us. And
Mhm.
I was protected in many ways. I had, I was the younger, so obviously I was protected, right?
Oh,
Uh,
you the
Mhm.
baby.
Yes.
yeah,
Oh.
and I had places like the Boys and Girls Club, and then different
Mhm.
mentors throughout them, uh, who just really helped me navigate to where I'm at now. And even my current mentors and partners like Al Therese and Oscar James, who I partner with on We Don't Need Permission, uh, just looking to build not for myself but for the people who come after me and long after me.
Cool, cool, sweet. So, tell us how do you go along like building a podcast for for us out there that has no idea how to even begin to
The
start
first
something
thing
like
is you have to find a reason to have something to talk about.
that?
Um,
Mhm.
so what got me into it? So We Don't Need Permission is my second podcast. The
Mm-hmm.
first I did completely by myself. I built that up. But the reason I had was because there was just like a lack of media in the city of Newark. And by media, I mean just like regular people that are discussing things. I found that in order to be in the in, you have to be
Mhm.
in the in. And now that I'm kind of so much in now, I know how much, a lot of information don't circulate. So my goal with my first podcast, and even with We Don't Need Permission, is to find a way to circulate that information back to the people. We shouldn't have an experience at that time. It was an election year where you're running, you don't know, which platform would best serve you as a resident, as a taxpayer. So the lack of that information really motivated me to start my own podcast. So first things first, you got to have that motivating factor of why your voice is important, why your opinion is so important. And I tried to build a
Mm-hmm.
platform where it's not so much about me; it's about you know other people being able to get their opinions, thoughts, whatever it may be. If I create that platform, then I could bring along anybody along the way. So the first part in creating a podcast is definitely having a reason, having a purpose in talking, because literally anybody can start, but it's about engaging people and retaining people.
Mm-hmm.
So the first part is just knowing your content, knowing your lane. Some people like to talk about politics. Some people like to talk about spirituality, religion,
Mm-hmm.
sports, music. So really just identifying that lane and just making it your own. Having the confidence to be able and the nuance to be able to talk about different things. On my platforms, I dabble here and there because I'm in tune with a lot. So for my first podcast, you might have heard me talk about spirituality, and then next I'm having a conversation about guns because really it's about the things that I'm dealing with in my life. So it's all of these things.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so just really owning your content, doing the research that's necessary, and then after that, it's about just putting in the work. Getting the equipment, um, and just all you really need is so simple. It's just a microphone and a computer,
Mm-hmm.
because it's all audio unless you want to do visuals too. So as long as you got the most basic of a podcast, a microphone, a purpose, and a laptop, you could you can do it. I was fortunate enough in my first go around with the podcast experience to literally watch as I was consistent. You watch, your listens go up. You know,
Mm-hmm.
you got to be comfortable with seeing one view over and over, and then it grow to two and three, and before you know it, I was a little over 1,000 listens all time. So it's a blessing in its own, but once you really know your purpose in doing it and
Mm-hmm.
lock down, the content that you want to create, the sky's the limit as far as success.
Nice.
So I have a
Nice.
question. So when you're engaging and you're talking, how does the audience interact with you? Do you bring them in at any point, or it's just you talking?
So it's different styles to podcasting. Some
Mm-hmm.
people do live, so similar to what we're doing right now. If we transmute the audible and put it on the different platforms, then people in real time are reacting and we're answering questions like you guys do. But for the most part, the process is you reach out to the audience that you're targeting. You see the topics that they want to talk about and discuss, and you just cover those. Maybe it's going through the comment sections, or you bump into somebody at a grocery store, like, "Hey, man, you should really talk about this and that." Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then obviously, you get feedback after each episode as well, so that'll give you more content to create and more ideas to formulate as you go
Okay.
on.
So do you do a continuation, or it's just wherever the audience, wherever they want to take you as far as
It's
what
kind
they
of a
want to hear?
it's kind of a I go into production with an idea of just topics that I want to cover,
Mm-hmm.
and then you get situations that happen in the world that you just have to address, right? Like
Oh, yes.
you like if it's a mass shooting, you can't really ignore that,
Mm-hmm.
or whatever. Even in the midst of COVID, it's hard not to have these dialogues on different platforms to any degree. You want to take your vision for the show, because that matters too, the way you see it, and see the topics that you want to cover, and you want to intertwine what the listener is listening for too, because they're listening to you but they also want to hear certain things too, so you have to cater to
Mm-hmm.
both in many ways.
Both. Okay, that sounds good. I have a son that's interested, and I wanted just to know just the basics, like how you get started, and how that conversation tends to run and to
Not for
go.
sure.
So,
And then offline we can definitely you could have my contact information, but the basics is just having that purpose and
mhm,
understanding, like, for me, Alterice and Sydney, the purpose is that we're bridging a 20-year gap. It's not often that you
Mm-hmm.
have a
mhm,
45-year-old, a 40-year-old, and a 25-year-old that are coming together and having all three of those perspectives coming from basically three different generations, and then we're
mhm,
also trying to talk to the generation that's 10 years behind me as well. So just to be able to
mhm.
cover that range on any topic, we looked at that dynamic and it clicked for all of us. Like you don't have that on any other podcast platform.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that.
So what's that energy like? Whew.
Between them,
Because you're so mellow. You're
oh
so
man,
mellow.
the energy between those two, uh, I have to kind of like produce in real time and navigate those kind of very image. You can look
What's
at
your
our YouTube, just some of the episodes. Oscar, when he talks, he gets really animated, and he used to sit next to me, so he gets all like touchy, like nah, let's stay focused. And then Al Therese, he gonna sprinkle the jewels in here and there. He started one day at a time, and then he
Mm-hmm.
just navigate through that. So it is great energy, and then for me, it's just the opportunity to just hear guys who have been through it, been through where I'm trying to get through as far as the next 20 years of my life, and then
Mhm.
give it back to me. So my next 20 years is even greater than the 20 years that we have between us.
Yeah, I love that. It's kind of like a mentorship, from
Mhm.
generation to
Right.
generation
It,
that
it's,
you
it's,
guys
it's
have
real
built.
time, but it's a mentorship with the opportunity of also because they recognize me as a leader in my own right too, and just anytime they speak of me in my presence to someone else is humbling, in the
Mm-hmm.
sense of they speak highly of me like he's the next young guy, this and that, but I'm like
Mhm.
still learning as they're saying it. So like you just don't get that dynamic, and it's a dope dynamic for sure.
All right, so I know that you obviously need equipment, and I heard you say, you can do it from your laptop, but like, do you need the big microphone, or what kind of like if somebody was to ask, what microphone would you suggest me buy for my podcast? What would that be?
So yeah. So for me, I literally started. I'm not gonna say I started with dollars because when I started my first one, I actually had a job at the time. So I just used
Mhm.
my job to put my hustle. So I got like the cheapest microphone. It was like $23. Was a whole kit. And then in doing that, all I downloaded was this program called Audacity. So you can record audio on Audacity. You
Mm-hmm.
download it for
Mhm.
free, and then I would take that audio of me recording, just sitting in my living room, and then I would put it onto SoundCloud, and then it was history.
Gotcha. It
You,
sounds
you
pretty
can, and
simple.
then ultimately was obviously get away with that. You can definitely grow those purchases.
Mm-hmm. Uh-oh. Are we losing you?
Laptop expense.
Okay, I think that we have some. I think Ade is our friend is frozen, but I know Ade is out here getting shout outs from Yolanda Johnson. Good evening, Yolanda. Thank you for listening in. I'm We're gonna bring Ade back in to the live stream. I think he's back. Hold on.
Look like he's still spinning there. No.
Oh no. Okay. All right. Well, that happens sometimes.
Yes, it does.
Oh man. Well, that's good to hear that it seems pretty affordable to be able to just
Mhm.
buy the equipment. It doesn't sound like it's a grip. I know a lot of people like a lot of fancy things and
Yes.
all the hoopla, but it sounds like it's pretty affordable.
Yeah, if
Um
you have the
few
basic,
hundred
like your
dollars.
laptop, yeah, and a mic, that's
Mm-hmm.
good. And a decent following, I guess that's wonderful.
Yeah. Yes. So you know what? With that, what we can do is just acknowledge our sponsor, who is Propel America. Um, Propel America is their mission is to equip high school graduates with the skills and experiences, networks, and credentials that they need to obtain a upwardly mobile job. So, what they do is they train you, and you have a cohort that follows you all throughout your journey. And once you earn your certificate, you'll be guaranteed an interview with an employer like RWJ Barnabas Health, and the entities that they're partnered with. So Propel sets you up with an on the job coach, which is and you are referred to as a fellow, and they support you throughout your journey there. So definitely look into Propel America. And check them out to see if that's the right path for you. High schoolers, high school graduates. They're usually looking for young people from the age of 18 to 24. So definitely take a look into that. Okay. All right.
Sounds
I
good.
think he's back. You know what? Um, yeah, sometimes that does happen. And here, I'm going to give everybody a tip. This is for all of my StreamYarders that are on here with us. Do not put your phone next to your computer. Okay, if you don't put your phone next to your computer, sometimes it'll give you better service, or it won't glitch as much. Okay. Hi, Peggy. Good evening. Thank you for joining us. Oh, now we lost you, Miss Way. I can't win. Oh, okay. There you
Can you hear me?
Yep, we can.
Okay. That's Peggy from Bridgeton. Hi,
Hi, Miss
Peggy. Thanks for
Peggy.
listening.
um, ooh, you know what I would do, Miss Elise? When is the next boot camp for them? Well, I know that they have big things going on right about now. So I'm going to tell you just to look into their website. I am going to make sure that I get this all the way correct so I don't steer you in the wrong direction. And it's Propel. So we're gonna look into the website propelamerica.org. That's www.propelamerica.org, and that will give you the updates on as to what's going on with their program.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right, Mr. Kelly. So I wanted to we were going over the equipment needed. So you said we needed you needed just the microphone, right? And the computer. But then where do you stream or tap into your podcast? Like, where do you share it?
I think he might be on mute.
Okay. You're gonna try that again.
Yes, we're having a little technical difficulty this evening. So I guess he'll come back and join us.
Okay. Also, if you do want to know more about Propel America, you can contact Alterice Frazier, reach out to him regarding Propel America. Okay. All right. Yes, Miss Peggy, thank you for being here.
Yes, thank you, Peggy.
All right. So with that, how about we do this? while we're waiting for our data come back, we could take a look at Propel America and see what they have to offer. What do you guys think?
Okay. Yes, I think that'd be a great idea. And share your screen, or do you have
Yeah,
something?
let me share my screen.
Okay.
I know a day is still getting ready to come in. This is the one. Okay. I'm sharing that screen. I want to share this screen. Do you see Propel America up there?
Yes.
Okay. So here is Propel America. Here is all about us. And we also want to definitely have them to reach out to Parents Engaging Parents, because we have a relationship with Propel America also. So please contact Alterice Frazier. He can tell you more about it. He's got his ear on into all that Propel America is doing. So yes, it's propelamerica.org.
Okay.
Okay.
And while we're waiting, I just want to shout out to all of the residents from Bridgeton, New Jersey, that's joining us this evening. Thank you so much for tuning in tonight. And I will get your information so we can look forward to partnering, doing some more things with PEP. But thank all of you who are engaging with us tonight.
Oh, yep. We need you. We need you. And we love you here.
Yes.
Okay, Ade, we're going to do this again.
Okay. Can you hear me?
Okay. Okay. So we were going into the we were past the equipment, but we wanted to know how you share your podcast, and what avenues
So
do you
I
take, or
use.
where do you go?
Mhm. So me personally, I use SoundCloud. Um, that for unlimited uploads, it's like $15 a month,
Mm-hmm.
or you can pay an annual plan. I forget that amount off the top of my head. But basically, from SoundCloud, I'm able to share the RSS link to Apple Music, Google, and Spotify. And those are the main four ones that most people consume podcasts on. So
Mm-hmm.
those are the main four. But there are other platforms where you can share universally on every single podcasting app.
Oh, okay. So like, do you ever make contact or know who exactly views your podcast, or you
Yeah.
just see like numbers?
So the more consistent you are, you're able
Mm-hmm.
to collect more data, which will tell you people from, well, SoundCloud breaks it down by location. So I know that most of the people who listen to my podcast are from New Jersey, but I know I have friends around the country. So when I see there's Birmingham, Alabama, and places like that,
Mm-hmm.
I know like my friends down there are listening as well. Sometimes you get some bots, so you see some foreign countries, you look at it sideways. But overall, it breaks down pretty nice. And then obviously, the more you grow, you can actually see the age, whether it's men or women and things like that. But it's just a matter of how consistent you are
Mm-hmm.
in the work that you put in to grow your podcast.
Yeah, because sometimes, like, like you think it's easy, right? It's a lot of work. It's a lot of
Right.
work. It's not just, oh,
Mm-hmm.
I'm just gonna be famous one day. I'm just gonna put this up there. It takes a
Yeah, because
lot of.
once you get to that aspect of it where you're breaking down like your actual audience, then you have to tailor it to if you want to expand or if you want to just stick with that demographic.
Mm-hmm.
Tailor your episodes and conversations to the style that is catering to them.
Mm-hmm.
In
Yeah,
the
there's no.
beginning, that's when you're most flexible because you're like getting some of everybody. Once you have
Mm-hmm.
like that core rock, they could, from what I see around other podcasts and larger podcasts, once they have that rock don't move. So when they try to change something or do something different, obviously there's like a fall off and things like that.
Mm-hmm.
So, is there anything that's off subject for you that you will not discuss or talk about um,
No,
in your
I would never
podcast?
build a platform like that.
Okay.
Even if
I
it's
know
something that's
some people have
unpopular.
gotten in trouble, with their content and things that they're, talking about. So I was wondering, um, what are there
No, and,
rules
and that's a fair
for
question
that?
because some people play it safe, and I don't necessarily believe in like having that safe space. I don't believe we should just be willfully ignorant, uh,
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
because that exists as well. But to be able to discuss anything, I'm open to all dialogues. Obviously, I would hope that I have enough information on the topic and be
Hmm.
honest enough with myself to admit if I don't or do. But as far as we're not going into this lane or conversation, it's too
Hmm.
controversy. Now
Hmm.
there are situations where I've held off on content because it was just hard and I had to naturally understand how I wanted that to flow, and if my thoughts wasn't there, I didn't want to put that content out. But I never
Hmm.
looked at a topic and was like, nah, I can't touch this.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, mhm. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was just
Because
wondering
honestly,
about that.
you want, for me, the way I consume podcasts, I'm either like at work or doing something active. Um,
Hmm.
so I would, I think of like listeners like that, like who are doing something else. So they're listening to me while they're doing something else instead
Mm-hmm.
of just like sitting down intensely focusing on a podcast. So.
Okay.
Yeah. Some people um I had found myself tuning into what is that thing? Clubhouse. So I'd like just find somebody on Clubhouse that's just talking like while I go for a walk or something like that. Maybe just not necessarily um soaking in every single thing that the person is saying, but sometimes it does because when I get into a rhythm, I guess for me anyways, that's how I operate. But yeah, it you can really retain and get some good information by listening to podcasts. Um
Yeah, that's kind of where I try to cater the way I talk about things. It's
mhm,
for, obviously there's going to be filler and back and forth, but you need a few things to pop out to the listener, like, oh, that part right there, I'm going to go back and listen to. Or when
mhm,
he said
mhm,
this
Mhm.
and that, I was feeling that. So you structure it for those moments to happen
mhm.
organically, but to also, it's not easy talking for an hour. uh,
Yeah, it's
so,
Mhm.
hard. It's hard. It's hard work. So, We Don't Need Permission is a revolutionary name. What made you name it that, your
so
podcast?
that aspect came from Oscar. Um, his godfather was a legendary Newark figure, Carl Sharif, who really came up with the idea that we don't need permission, and we just took that and made it applicable for this generation and this movement that we want to build, where we're not coming to the table asking, with
Mhm.
our hands out. We're just saying we're here.
Mhm,
We're pulling up, saying, "Yo, we're here." Now you just got to deal with us being here versus us asking to be here,
mhm,
and
mhm,
and taking that concept and applying it to everywhere else in our lives and in other people's lives, and hoping you know they get on the wave of we don't need permission for
mhm.
anything.
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah, a lot of times we find our we find ourselves halting our growth because maybe we're scared or we're holding back. But yeah, just like you said, you don't need permission. You don't have to ask anybody.
Yeah, and then
You
it's
know,
like that
Mhm.
quote that I think is ask for forgiveness, not permission. So
mm,
if you're
ask
gonna do
for
it, do it.
forgiveness. Hmm.
Mhm.
Or deal with it later, right? Deal with consequences later. So tell me how you find your guests.
So we, in our personal lives, have built relationships with people, um, who then we get inspired by, and things like that. So we try to elevate those voices and those stories, because what's
Mhm.
really important when you have your own platform is that you take advantage of it in the way that you're bringing people on to share their light to your audience, and then
Mhm.
that platform becomes less about you and more about the people in the community.
Right.
So that was always the vision of
Mm-hmm.
even having guests, to be able to amplify, whether you're a young entrepreneur or a grassroots organization, or whatever you want to do in the community and for the community. We want to highlight that, and when you do it without permission, now you really got to be with us, right? So the criteria is just someone who's doing something extraordinary, without permission on their own, and then highlighting that, uh, and how that impacts our community. Uh,
Mhm.
just to name a few guests that we've had, a guest like Tommy Luna, who's obviously, some people who watch him may know who he is, affiliated with PP, Need, North for Education, Equity and Diversity, and we highlighted some of the things that they were doing, on the grassroots level in Newark,
Mhm.
as far as not
Mm-hmm.
waiting for the school board to have a policy, and then, eventually getting the school board to agree with that policy and passing it. We've
Mhm.
had, guests, Chef Jamie Hunt on, who's also been on this platform as well, who
Mm-hmm.
started a community garden, at my, Boys and Girls Club, that I grew up going to, and how she knew it was important, for the children of that neighborhood to be able to grow food, and be able to associate a realness and a oneness, with food, and connecting it that way. So those are
Mhm.
some of the things that we try to bring on our platform, and then we obviously have discussions amongst ourselves about entrepreneurship, uh, them talking about manhood, uh, during, I think it was just, Women's History Month. You have
Mhm.
men honoring, women, and understanding where they may have fell short, but where they learned. And you have a 25-year-old, sitting in a discussion like that. So it's, that type of content, those type of guests, that really, you know, get people walking up to you like, "Hey, I know who you are."
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Um, Chef Jamie, we had the pleasure of engaging her as well. I actually got to work with her on the garden, so
Yes.
I know that she was there at the Boys and Girls Club in Newark, and she was helping to grow some veggies and fruits for the kids to grow and to cook and to eat and to share with her with families, and that was pretty revolutionary, I thought, because you know she took it upon herself. It was like a wholehearted initiative. um she was out there all by her lonesome on some days. I know that because I was there with her one day, and trust me, I did a lot of heaving and hoeing. And it was like
You had your farmer's hat on, right?
good. And I enjoyed it. It was a good time. It was a good time to engage with her. And to build with her. She has two beautiful babies, and they were there as well supporting her. So that was great to be able to connect with her and her love for food, and for her to be able to share that with the community as well. Yeah.
and,
Yeah.
and, and those are the stories where you know there's so many individuals like her. We can probably, like, when we come back officially, it's going to be so many people to interview who just take that initiative, in seeking the change in our community. And
Mhm.
if it's if we have the platform, then it's on us to highlight those stories, because we're the
Mhm.
media. So we,
Mhm.
we can no longer critique, you know especially and it's funny I'm saying this during Black History Month. Like it's not on anyone else to tell our stories for us. When we have all of these cameras and microphones, we can tell the stories ourselves, and we can tell the real stories ourselves, and not the ones who they greenlit, but more so the ones that we know are real. So highlighting, in Black History Month, the Chef Jamies and all the others who are doing work in real time, that's important for us as well.
Yeah. Yeah, I love that because there's so many people in the community, like our Miss Elise's, our Miss Mays, you a day, Therese, loads of people that are out there doing lots of work behind the scenes, in front of the scenes, everywhere. So, Therese, are you coming on with us? I see you popping in every now and again.
So a day, do you have like any young people following your podcast? Like
Yeah,
teens
so
maybe?
I get a lot of support from my friends and people my age, and it's
Mm-hmm.
intentional, so we have to have the conversation from both angles, whether we agree or disagree, and we just
Mm-hmm.
bridge that naturally. Uh, and that's what we all signed up for. So I'm bringing the younger crowd, the younger voice, you know, and
Mm-hmm.
I'm not saying that as like I'm a representation, but young people gravitate to young people, older people gravitate to older people, and it's our
Mm-hmm.
job to pull these generations together because we just don't understand each other. Like, and that's what it simply is. So the more we bridge those gaps, but what the audience is seeing is a 25-year-old with a 40-year-old and a 45-year-old. What we're seeing is that gap of misunderstanding getting closer and
Mm-hmm.
closer and closer to understanding. Because a 25-year-old may listen to them to say, and hear some of the same wisdom that I get from them every day. And I'm just
Mm-hmm.
privileged enough to hear that from them, and that's the goal too. And then you may get a 45-year-old like, wow, these young guys are really out here doing it. But it's to
Mm-hmm.
shift that paradigm in both mindsets.
Yeah.
That's good. Because we can all learn from each other, actually.
Exactly.
You know, you
And
guys are
when
tech
you go to it
savvy.
with that mindset that we're learning from each other, that
Mm-hmm.
just opens up the gates of possibility.
Yes. And that's awesome. That's awesome to see.
Nah, it's
Yeah.
awesome to be a part outside of all the
Mhm.
hazing, but
Hazing. Oh no.
nah, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding.
No, they don't. Who I got a call? Uh-oh. Mr. Parents Engaging Parents Inc. Oh goodness. Oh goodness. Oh, so is there so I know that you had mentioned yesterday that the CDC has been I guess a little bit jarring. So what's your take on the CDC and what's going on with COVID-19?
So, and this is one of the things, like, as far as just this time has been so difficult for all of us, but the only thing that has been consistent is the confusion. Like,
Mm.
since literally right before the world shut down, it's been nothing but confusion, from just all of these entities. So you get so many contradicting, wear a
Mhm.
mask, don't wear a mask, stay
Mm,
6 feet, you can be close but back up, and then so it's just the fact of, I think what we haven't heard is that, in taking care of everyone else, we have to first take care of ourselves.
Mhm.
As long as we promote a healthy lifestyle for ourselves and just are open to that aspect of it. And this isn't even about, getting a vax or anything like that. It's just a simple
Mhm.
fact of, taking care of yourself, trusting yourself, and just operating safely. I think we've always all lived that way in in a way that we didn't think about it. Maybe everybody wasn't, you know, having hand sanitizer every 5 minutes. Maybe it
Mhm.
was more like 20, but you know, I think we operated in a generally safe way. And then when you have, you know, a new virus that was already going to, you know, run its course the way it did as a immovable object, you just have to stay the course of the consistency that we already, you know, build upon and just double down on that. And there's entities like that that just makes it so difficult by, you know, being confusing and then
Mhm.
generating so much fear in our communities. And you know, in the Black community, you already have so much fear naturally, just in what we deal
Mhm.
with, and the addition of that stress ultimately led to what we've seen as far as, you know, people succumbing to illness and mental health issues, and
Mhm.
even what we see in our education systems.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You know, our communities have suffered greatly, and it's mostly at the hands of our healthcare system, because there's not a lot of there hasn't been a lot of trust, not for a long time. And I'm not saying for us
Mhm.
not to trust it, but I'm saying that there is a definite history that we know, that our bodies have been used and abused in uh, for medical reasons, for medical research. We've heard the stories um, of, you know, us not necessarily getting the resuscitation that we needed because they want our organs, you know.
Mhm.
And that's not to say that that it's happening rampantly everywhere, yet it has happened. And that's where the mistrust lies, right? And it also lies in racism, right? We know
Hmm.
that. Um, so, what do you tell? You know, what do you say to your community? Because I know I say, for me, I mean, I know that I chose to get the vaccine. Um, I'm choosing to get the booster because of my occupation, because I was around a lot of people a lot of times. So I decided to go ahead and get it. I I do trust, you know, they say trust the science, right? Um, how do you feel about trust the science?
Well, that's a made up. That's made up.
Uh-huh.
They're trusting the science here, but um, when the science says, you know, global warming exists, they're not trusting that science. So they're selective in the
Mm,
science they're choosing to, you know, acknowledge.
Mhm.
But COVID is not the problem; it's the symptom
mhm,
of an even bigger problem that we have in this country, and it's the systems in this country are trying to collapse because they weren't built to sustain, you know, oppressed communities overcoming that.
mhm,
And the more success that we have, the more we learn the game. You know, that's the real reason why everything crashed. Because when we shut down, you know, the first people to get bailed out wasn't the people, it was the
right.
corporations.
Mhm,
So,
Mhm.
you know, it's we have to switch in our head that we've COVID is the problem. COVID is it's not the problem. It's the symptom of a system that is just collapsing before our own eyes.
mhm,
And once we disassociate COVID with being the problem and
Mhm.
looking at it from that standpoint, you know, the overwhelming majority of people who contract COVID will have mild symptoms. And that's
mhm,
what the science says. It's about, you know, those vulnerable people in our community, making sure that they're protected, that they're safe, that, you know, we're doing everything in our power for them. Uh, because, you know, they're at risk for a reason. You know, we deal with so many health deficiencies in our community that
mhm.
hasn't come up as, you know, why we're dealing with, you know, so much death, and not even so much death in the fact that it's a lot, but
Sickness.
it's being highlighted a lot.
Mhm,
And just
Mhm.
changing that paradigm where we're not looking, we're looking at like less than 1%. We're making that so much bigger than what it is versus saying,
Mhm.
our seniors, our frail youth, we're going to take care of you. They don't want to do that. They simply don't want to do that. And we have to understand why, because the system has dictated them to never be able to do that.
Mhm.
We're looking, for them to bail us out when they have never done that at any
Mhm.
point. You want to talk about other outbreaks that we've had, you know, we treated it a certain way for a reason. Now that there's more financial incentives with COVID and with the direction of everything, it's
Mhm.
more financial than anything else. And our people have to definitely realize that, and not get into these false debates about, who should be vaccinated, and forcing people to get vaccinated. People who want to get vaccinated are going to get vaccinated no matter what.
Mhm.
And those who, are forced is unfortunate in a sense, because I
Yeah.
don't believe you should, force somebody necessarily.
Mhm.
It's a decision for them to come to. Um, so I'm not for that, but I'm just for people just looking at the real problem, and vaccines not being the real problem.
You're right. You have a cheerleader on Ms. Elise said yes, 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 yes. Yes, she's feeling you because I know that Miss Elise was like, "I'm not getting that vaccine." And in the beginning, I was like, "No," but then I started thinking about, okay, I'm gonna be around a lot of
People.
children, a lot of
Mhm.
babies, and then I have to think about their families, right? I'm around their families as well because their babies are an extension of their families. So let's just say 10 children, that's 10 families and their households,
Mhm.
right?
Hmm.
So that's like an extension of people that, I'm around daily. So I had to think about the um, the variables for me, and I
Right.
chose to go ahead and get the vaccine. But no,
And we just have to open to everybody thinking about those same variables. Someone who, thought of all the things that you just thought of may have come to the decision to not take it. But we
mhm,
just have to be honest and open to respect both perspectives,
absolutely.
because it's not one right way, because there's never been one right way of doing anything.
Mhm.
I
Mhm.
was just talking to Al Therese, for some people they say it's only one way to go left. It depends on the way you're looking at it. You can crawl, you can jump, you can skip, still going left.
That would be him to say something philosophical like that. Love it.
So,
um,
after COVID is over, what is the plan for us to help us get in a situation so we are more healthier, both mentally, physically, spiritually? What is the plan? Right now, everything is COVID, but after COVID,
Hmm. So one, we have to first get into that mindset that it's literally already after COVID, because COVID is here and COVID isn't going anywhere, and we have to treat it as such. We just gotta move on from the idea that we were gonna ever, get rid of it. Um,
mhm,
the type of virus that it was early on, I mirrored it with the flu virus, and now, the CDC is finally saying, like, it's pretty similar, similar symptoms and things like that. So first, we have to mentally get past COVID, but that's hard because, you know things were shut down, and that did a lot to a lot of different people.
mhm,
I immediately think of, like, the school system, and the different situations that you know impacted people's families and children. Like, kids were forced to be
mhm.
home for 2.5 years. That's not regular. I've never been forced to be home that long in my life.
mhm,
But you have kids who have never. You had, like, fifth graders who went on to middle school and never, experience, what middle school is going to be, and now they're eighth graders.
mhm,
So it's whole new
Mhm.
buildings and things like that. So dealing with the mental health is just having, like, real conversations with each other, with our community, and just leaning on each other. As far as
Mm-hmm.
healthy alternatives, it's the ones that always existed, you know. It's
Mhm.
that elder who, you know, keeps all the berries and fruits and things like that in the back, and we just listen to them, um, because taking care of your immune system is important. We've been talking about vaccines for 2 years now, but not really promoting ways to boost your immune system, and more
Mm.
preventative ways of dealing with it, but also, you know, dealing with it once you contract COVID or anything else. Um, so it's more so being open to, you know, real dialogues about how this has affected us. And there's going to be platforms like this, platforms like We Don't Need Permission. It's going to be up to us to host these dialogues in real time.
Yeah, no, thank you for that because that is definitely what we're here for. I know that we're pretty much shoulder to shoulder as far as our thinking and what we want to see in our communities and be able
Mm-hmm.
to share with them. And that's um, choices,
Right.
choices and resources and information and different
'Cause that's what it comes down
perspectives.
to.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to those who know, are they willing to share? And, you
Mm-hmm.
know, me and my partners have committed ourselves to share because
Mm-hmm.
we're we're going to be more successful with giving the resources back to those who come from where we come from versus keeping it for ourselves and
Mm-hmm.
prospering by ourselves. It gets lonely when you choose that route.
That's right.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yep, that is for sure. Um, Miss Ali says, I guess this COVID thing has been a mental drain. And Miss Elise, I saw that you posted up here that you're in a quarantine. Trust me, I was just in one myself. Self quarantine. Just to be
Mm-hmm.
safe. I wanted to make sure I was negative. I didn't, you know, get anybody sick. And it messes with you.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's like you feel one way and then you're thinking, okay, this is it, I got it. And then
Mm-hmm.
test back and it's like negative. So yeah, it's a mental drain and strain for community, and not only for community but for parents alike, dealing with the ins and outs of having to pick up their children if there's an outbreak in their school, and having to miss work. I know I
Mm-hmm.
feel really terrible for a parent who she became ill, but she has to keep her child home, and now it's like, how do you take care of yourself when your child
Mm-hmm.
is there and they're little, and but you're sick, so you can't send your child to school. So it's just like a big snowball
Mm-hmm.
of everything. And I think that we have to be more attentive to what it is that parents need when it comes to this COVID and picking up your children. And you know there's got to be a better way. I mean, we have jobs and we have to get to them, and it's just a strain. I think my frustration was definitely hearing a parent go through, well, your child has been exposed, yet no, you don't have to send home their sibling because they weren't exposed because they're not in the child's class, but that's a sibling. So how does that work? And then it was a situation where, okay, you're going to keep the sibling home, that's fine, but then you can't have a computer for that sibling to get services for school or any kind of education. It's like, what are we doing? And I get it that teachers are pulled in like 5 million directions. Yet at this point, I think we're at the point where we realize that this is going to happen. This is a thing, and schools need to have a team of teachers that are available virtually at all times for all age groups, or for whatever age groups you have your set teachers that are able to teach virtually, and that's it.
You would think they had more than 2 years.
Right. I mean, and get the teachers a training. That's the other part.
Right.
Get teacher training, because it's out there. Virtual school is out there. I know that there's a K through 12 school in Pennsylvania that is virtual, 100% virtual. So where are they getting their training from?
Right.
Where are they getting their PD? Like, how do they know how to teach virtually, and what software or tools that they need? So a day. Thank you. Miss May, thank you. Miss Elise, thank you. Cerise, thank you. That kind of rhymes. Parents Engaging Parents, that's all of you out there. Yolanda Johnson, thank you for tuning in. Drusilla Morgan, thank you for tuning in. And thank you all for joining us with Parents Engaging Parents, beloved community. And look out for us. Look out for a day. Altarise Oscar with We Don't Need Permission, and their podcast. We will definitely be sharing when they will be launching their podcasts on where? SoundCloud?
Everywhere. SoundCloud, YouTube, Google, Apple, Spotify. We worldwide.
All right.
Worldwide.
Thank
Awesome.
you. And we appreciate you for joining in, and definitely again, check us out on pepnj.org and donate if you can, so we can keep on keeping on with these updates and resources and all we have to share with the community. Have a good night, everyone.
Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you.